Okay, so now we talk about stem cell. Now, okay, stem cells because they are undifferentiated biological cells. Okay, they can either differentiate into specialized cells or divide through mitosis and cell division to produce more stem cells. So general idea is something like this. So when you have one stem cell, this stem cell can carry out the mitosis. Mean from one cell become two cells. So these cells can go for specialization. Okay, can go for specializations. Okay, or this one another cells to continue to remain as stem cell. This is a property from one stem cell. So means that we always replenish back the stem cells. Okay, so the extent of the power or ability of stem cell to produce different kinds, different cell types is variable and referred as the potency. So how potent a stem cell is, so basically depend on how many type of cells they can actually form. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so we have three levels of potency. Potency means that how powerful the cell actually can develop. Now, basically the idea of stem cell is they just a stem cells, so they have the ability to become specialized cells. Okay, they have the ability to become specialized cells. So depend on how many type of specialized cells they can form, then we can determine their potency. Okay, now for example, if you look at the zygote, okay, zygote. Zygote basically can form any kind of cell. So it's the full potency. So this full potency we call as a totipotent. Okay, totipotent, sorry. Totipotent basically means that they can form any kind of cell. So this zygote had the ability to form two kinds of cell. They can form embryonic stem cell. Okay, and also the extra embryonic cells. Okay, so these embryonic stem cells now lose the potency already, cannot, because embryonic stem cell cannot form extra embryonic cell. Now, what's extra? Extra embryonic is outside of the embryo. So, for example, forming placenta. Placental cells cannot. Does it have? Forming the amniotic sacs cannot. Okay, sorry. I mean, okay, this embryonic stem cell cannot form. So it loses the potency. So from totally potent cells now become pluripotent. Okay, pluripotent. So pluripotent means they lack the potency, reduce one rank. From the original totipotent can form any kind of cells, now become less and less because embryonic stem cell, this one cannot form placenta. This one cannot form amniotic. Sorry. Cannot form amniotic sacs anymore. Are you clear? So therefore, we still lose the potency. But they still can form other cells. These embryonic stem cells can continue to form organs and system. Right? So what actually happened here? Embryonic stem cells here. Okay, one of the examples here we call it hematopoietic stem cell. It can form blood cells. This hematopoietic stem cell can form blood cell, for example, red blood cell. Okay, they can form our white blood cell. So therefore, again, now you can see that this hematopoietic stem cell decrease in the potency already because hematopoietic stem cell, you don't ask them to form liver. They can't form liver. They cannot form kidney, but they can form blood cells. Okay, and second example we're going to learn here is called mesenchymal stem cell. So mesenchymal stem cell can form our connective tissues. Okay, connective tissues that, for example, smooth muscle can form our bone, cartilage. So these mesenchymal stem cells, okay, so is it possible for hematopoietic stem cells to form connective tissues? Cannot. Can I see that? So they lose the potency. So in this case, this kind of cell is called multipotent. So can you say it decrease every level down, the decrease in terms of the potency. Okay, so you can take a photo of this. Okay, then we go to our notes. Okay, so when talk about stem cell potency, so we can see that stem cell that can differentiate into embryonic and extra-embryonic, so that form the placenta and embryonic stem cell. Such stem cell can construct a complete viable organism. This thing very complete. So these stem cells are produced from the fusion of egg and sperm to form zygote. So for example, is the first division. The stem cell also include the cell produced by the first few divisions of the fertilized egg. Or in this case, we know that it's a zygote. So again, the answer is totipotent, okay, because it can form entire complete viable organism, okay, that they can differentiate into the embryonic and extra-embryonic. Embryonic means from embryo, basically from embryo, okay. Extra-embryonic means that outside of the embryo, for example, placenta and amniotic, okay. But if you form embryonic stem cells already, this embryonic stem cell cannot form placenta and amniotic. So therefore, embryonic stem cell lower grade. Okay? Now, in this case, so the stem cells are descendant of totipotent cells. Totipotent is descendant. Such stem cells have the potency to differentiate into any of the three germ layer. Now, germ layer means that we have the, for example, which part of the layer to form, for example, gastrointestinal lining, gastrointestinal tract, and the lung. So endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. Now, this one for your information only. So one example of this is the embryonic stem cell. Okay, so what you can see that here is with these embryonic stem cells, we will be able to produce your gastrointestinal tracts, can produce muscle, bone, blood, urogenital organs, epidermal tissue, nervous system. It can form a lung, heart, and so on. So it means that this embryonic stem cell actually have the ability to form the embryo and multicellular organism, but they can't form placenta and amniotes because why? They lose the potency. So it's called pluripotent stem cell. Okay. The third, now the stem cell, they have the gene activation potential to differentiate into the discrete cell type only. It cannot form many types of cell. There are more, what call this, specialized. For example, from adipose tissues, okay, cardiac cells, bone marrow, cord blood, okay, they were quite very specialized now. Okay, so we have two kinds that we need to learn. Hematopoietic stem cell, HSC, can be differentiated into the cellular type of the blood cell, for example, lymphocyte, monocyte, but they cannot form brain cell, bone, or other non-blood cell types. So we can see that the potency now decreased to multipotent. Another one, we have the mesenchymal stem cell. We can form the bone, okay, cartilage, and adipose tissues. Okay, so this mesenchymal stem cell. So in terms of hierarchy, you can see that we have totipotent and pluripotent. So totipotent, write down zygote. Example, pluripotent embryonic stem cell. Okay. Then, for example, we can see that, okay, to form white blood cell, red blood cells. So blood stem cells here is known as the hematopoietic stem cell. Okay, hematopoietic stem cells, and other, for example, we have the mesenchymal stem cells. Okay, so we go through a quick one. Totipotent stem cell. So they have ability to divide and produce all of the differentiated cells. So for example, the spore and the zygote, they are totipotent cells. So they have the greatest differentiation potential. For example, I said the zygote. So after first hour, right, in the first hour of the fertilization, the zygote divide into the identical totipotent cells. So these totipotent cells will develop into the germ layer. So this one right down, they develop to the embryonic stem cells. Okay, embryonic stem cell and the cells of the trophoblast layer. So trophoblast layer means the extra embryonic cell. Okay, so approximately 4 days after fertilization and after cycle cell division, this totipotent cell becomes specialized. So means that no more totipotent cells in our body after 4 days. Are you clear? So only maintains for 4 days because they were developed into the embryonic stem cells, which is the we call this from the totipotent become pluripotent stem cells now. So this one just for information only. Okay, you can see that start from the formation of the zygotes, okay, and then continue until implantation take place from the trophoblast. So this trophoblast is the one that actually form the extra embryonic cells. Okay, and just for information only, guys. Okay. So once after 4 days, we don't more have the totipotent stem cells, so we do have the embryonic stem cells. So these embryonic stem cells, they are pluripotent stem cells derived from the inner cell mass of a blastocyst. So this part, can I say that? This part is called blastocyst. Okay, too bad the embryogenesis is no longer in our syllabus. I can't go into detail and to tell you more about this. So but basically, embryonic stem cell can generate all cell type in the body. So it means that it can form a lot of organ. For example, endo inside. So it form the interior organ, lung, heart, okay, and to the mesoderm, more to the muscle, the bone, the blood, ecto outside. So from epidermal tissue and nervous tissues. Okay. So we have 3 layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Again, for your information only. So these stem cells have the cell renewal. So it means that some of them continue to become the stem cell, some of them develop into the organs and tissues. So according to 2002 article, so we have this what we call the embryonic stem cells. They have the potential to differentiate into the various cell types. So it means that if I take the embryonic stem cell, they have the ability to form so many kinds of cell type, and we can use it for the transplantation. For example, we can grow kidney, we can grow, okay, theoretically, we can actually give them a suitable chemical, induce the gene activation, they will form a particular organs they can use for tissue engineering. Okay, so again, this one for information only. If you are interested to know more, you can go and read out for this. Okay. Then the last one, we could get the multipotent stem cells with 2 examples here. We have the hematopoietic stem cells and mesenchymal stem cells. We start with hematopoietic stem cells. Okay, this one is more relevant to us. You have to know because we do know that they reside in the bone marrow, and then they give rise to different cell types. Cell renewing basically means that they can continue to multiply, and as I said, that some of them develop to the blood cells, some of them still remain as the stem cells. Okay, so when they proliferate, at least some of the daughter cells remain as the stem cell, so that the pool of stem cell is not depleted. It's not like this totipotent stem cell after few generations, then you don't have totipotent already. But hematopoietic stem cell always present in our bone marrow. So you can see that this bone blood stem cell or hematopoietic stem cells, so divide to the myeloids and lymphoids, so we can get the neutrophil, platelets, red blood cells. For lymphoids, we can get the lymphocytes. Okay, when we have the pool of the white blood cells. So again, this one's very, very specific because they won't form your muscle cell, they won't form your lung, they won't form our heart. So therefore, they lose the potency from the totipotent, pluripotent, now become multipotent stem cells. Okay. Then we have another type, it's called mesenchymal stem cells. It's more into the different cell type. For example, can develop the bone cells, cartilage, muscle cell, fat cells, okay? And they have great capacity of cell renewal while maintaining their multipotency. Okay. So these mesenchymal stem cells have the ability to form tendon from the bone, adipose tissue, muscle, cartilage, and also the marrow stroma. So you can see that they won't be able to form the blood cells. So therefore, we say that in term potency, they are lower. So they are at the multipotent stem cell level. Okay, so stop here.